Hello and welcome to everybody who has joined our webinar today. This is the first webinar organized by the Insart LLC to provide some piece of knowledge sharing for those who want to find out more about the fintech industry, about the different aspects on how to skyrocket your business with doing different, absolutely great things. I really appreciate that you have joined today, and we have lots of absolutely interesting things to discuss. So I would be really grateful if you could stay for the whole webinar with us today, and we're going to be able to talk about lots of different extremely cool things nowadays connected with the CRM and other stuff integrations. So the theme of our integration podcast or our integration webinar today is obviously integrate like a pro. And we're going to be discussing on how to improve your business by using absolutely different third-party tools and connecting their APIs so your business can grow smooth and steadily instead of just persisting as is at the moment. So we are going to get started. The webinar is gonna take something like 40 minutes. So grab your seat, make sure that you sitting comfortable, and we are ready to get started. So first of all, let me briefly tell about myself and the company. My name is Bogdan Glushko, and I am the project manager of the Insart LLC. In Insart, for more than 30 years, we are working on integrating absolutely different fintech solutions for the world's biggest players on the market. We have been working with absolutely perfect clients with all the best on the market. And every day, every month, every year, we're improving our expertise on providing the best fintech services ever possible. And this aspect, as the third-party integrations, has become another one massive player on the fintech market nowadays, just because this is the thing allowing you to skyrocket not just your income, but also to save a lot of money on the support, on the functionality integrations, because basically everything you're going to be integrating has been already created for you. And there is no need to recreate something or to reinvent the bicycle, just because basically you have everything needed out of the box, and the only thing needed to be done is to integrate this into your business. So we have lots of great and interesting themes today, so don't forget to take the notes and feel free to ask the questions under the form that will be attached in the end of this video or in the comments to this video. We're going to be happy to talk to everybody after the webinar to answer all the questions possible. And what is more, as it always happens, we have some pretty cool gifts and surprises for the end. So stay tuned, watch till the end, and you're going to be able to get the gift out of the first hands. So you will be able not just to improve your knowledge on this specific area, but also to get some pretty cool things to move further. Our agenda for today's webinar looks as follows. So first of all, we're gonna discuss the fact of third-party integrations as themselves. What is it? How can we use them? What should we do to make them work out correctly, etc. The second aspect would be the way of identification, the specific integrations your specific business needs. So maybe there is something like the CRM integration. Maybe you need a payment gateway or an ERP. Absolutely different systems are suitable for absolutely different businesses. And your main goal is to identify what exactly you need to implement, not just to make it cool and steady, but also to skyrocket your income without really putting a cent into it. The third part is going to be the examples of the best, because there are lots of absolutely cool integrations that we've been working with and we can recommend you to have. And there are absolutely great amount of different stuff that we would tell that should be used in the future as well. The next item on our agenda is the set of different underwater boulders existing in the integration process. Just because it is impossible to make everything perfect out of the first try, and definitely you might face some problems, but it is much easier to know them in advance and to learn on somebody else's experience than to face it all by yourself. So that's exactly what we are offering you to do, is to check out our experience and to try to make it as good as possible implementing your own systems in the future. Moving forward, we would recommend to, again, stay till the end of the video. First of all, because you will be able to cover all these details. Secondly, you'll be able to take the presentation and the video with yourself, so you will have a chance to review it, to take a look again, etc. And finally, we have some pretty cool gifts which will be given at the end of this webinar. Anyway, we're getting started. The things are just starting up, and there are lots of cool things to talk about. So, first of all, what is the third-party service? Why is it needed? What can we do with that? And why we even talk about this nowadays? I believe you've heard lots of different third-party companies and such a thing called an API, Application Programming Interface. The idea is that nowadays APIs and the third-party services have become really massive players on any market of any domain industry, just because they simplify the life of the other people. What the standard third-party service does, they provide you, obviously, some service. This can be the document signing utility. This can be the project management tool, or for example, the CRM to track your contacts, change the status of your leads, or doing something like that. And except just providing these services, they are able to be integrated into your own system. So basically, you are able to automatize some things, or you can have a chance to simplify lots of different things. And instead of creating this feature once again on your own, you're just taking an already existing third-party service and basically implement their API into your program product. Of course, this is a job of the programmers or the developers, but here is another thing, is that it is not just about the development or just an integration of some API endpoints. By the way, endpoint is the way that we communicate between our product and the third-party service. It is mostly about also the correct architectural and logic planning, because some of different services have a pretty complicated logic, and your product might have it as well, and that might be a pretty complex project, obviously. And once you're gonna try to combine these two approaches or these two services together, you might face some issues, as long as their service has some own logic, your service has some own, and you're trying to make this logic synchronized. The easiest example is syncing the contacts. For example, your service does some contact sync on the basis of some data you are providing to your users. At the same time, the CRM does something else absolutely similar to this one, but maybe via a little bit different logic. For example, your service supports only the contacts, and the CRM service supports the contacts, leads, and opportunities. The logic of managing leads and opportunities on the side of the CRM is a little bit different from what you used to do in your product. And obviously, you not just need to implement the collaboration between these two services, your and the service provider, but also you need to think carefully about how you're going to treat the logic that the second service provides. And that's the trickiest part. Anyway, even though that might sound a little bit scary and maybe that might cause some questions, you should pay attention to another thing, which is much better. So, running any business can be assumed as swimming in a pretty beautiful boat. This is just a small boat, you have just bought it, and this is, let's say, your first or second time you are diving into the sea. The ship moves slow and steady, everything's pretty fine, you keep moving and floating, and that seems okay. You can do fishing, you can relax in this boat, you can feel absolutely fine with that, but still, the idea is that you want to turn your slowly swimming boat into the great ship that's gonna be able to bring lots of different things over it, that's gonna be moving fastly. And obviously, just by using this ship or just boat, you are not able to do this. You have only a spatula to work with, you obviously don't have a motorized boat, and you have to deal with some simple canoeing. And this is absolutely how the beginning business looks like. And that's obviously not bad. There's some sort of the fun of kayaking, you know, I'm a huge fan of kayaking as well. And this one is pretty similar basically, because before transforming your small boat into this huge and beautiful ship, you have to pass some way through. But the idea is that nowadays, to build such a beautiful thing, there is no need to be a multimillionaire or to have some warehouses with iron or something. And the process of transformation between this ship or small boaty into the huge and beautiful ship is much easier. Because basically, you can take your boat and you can implement its overall cascade via integrating some third-party service. You can add the motorized vehicle to it via the third-party service. You can add some cool stuff that would allow you to speed the things up, again implementing the third-party service. There is no need to develop the things from scratch anymore. You just have your core product, which is your boat, and you start adding different small components over it, implementing more and more absolutely cool and beautiful functionality. This saves you money, this makes your boat run faster, and what is the most important, it turns the process of moving into something funny. It is not just a kayaking anymore. It is a fully complex adventure when your ship moves fastly and is able to be the contestant of the huge serious ships like this one, transforming the things from the warehouse day by day. So the process of transforming this into this is just several words. Integrate the third-party services. Anyway, it is not just enough to tell that you need to integrate them and that's all. We need to clarify what exactly third-party services we need to have, how to implement them, why do we need. So let's shift from these both videos, even though I like them a lot, to the next question is how to define what exactly API and third-party service you need to connect. There are literally thousands of them. If you're gonna go to the repeatapi.com, which is the most popular service collecting all the APIs from all the different service providers together, you will find more than, I believe, 20,000 different API systems. Obviously, you will not be implementing all of them. Integrating even one system is pretty complex, but you need to define which one, because you might easily get lost in the world of the payment gateways, some star customer satisfaction ratings, some simplified or not simplified e-commerce add-ons, some tools to notify the users, some tools helping people with disabilities to make their experience much better, which is super important nowadays, etc. You're gonna have lots of different opportunities. And once you're gonna start exploring the world of the third-party services, you will see that there are lots of cool things that your service might have as well. And maybe you will decide to do something better, but still, I would highly recommend to stick to implementing something right now. So the first thing you need to remember is that there is a specified roadmap on how to identify the best service you need. And as long as you're going to be following this roadmap, everything's going to be much easier than it seems to. So the first thing you should get started with, the first thing you should try to do is define whether you want to choose it or lose it. Yes, it sounds a little bit cliche, but the fact is that you cannot integrate everything at one time. That is just impossible, and that's totally fine. But you have to identify which exact API providers and services you want to have and you are going to choose, and which ones you are fine with losing, because that is fine as well. You cannot have thousands of different functionality at one place. And the second thing I want you to remember is that I don't want you to turn your product, which is obviously a pretty cool one, into some sort of the combined doing everything out of the box. That is just not how the things works. You gotta be the specialist in one specific area. In case you are providing the document preparations, do this. In case you're providing some sort of the charity platform, do that. In case you're providing some advisor recommendations or some wealth and advising, no problem, do that. But do not turn that also into the document signing systems. That's just not what you need. Just use the minimum out of each scope, test your hypothesis, and take a look whether users like it or not. Anyway, here's a pretty simple roadmap on how to identify what exact services you need out of the box, and one of them are be able to be pushed away or skipped, at least for now. So starting out, the first question is, what is the main value of your business? What do you want to achieve with your product? What is your main and key audience? And what are you going to achieve with that? Are you, again, a wealth tech advisor? Or maybe you're a charity foundation? Or maybe you're providing some sort of the CRM system for those who work in the wealth tech sphere. That's totally fine, but you have to answer this question once and forever, or at least for the next several years. Because in case I've been asking the previous questions and to each one of them you have answered yes, you are probably doing something wrong. You have to identify one and the only direction where you're going to move. And as soon as you're going to do this, you'll be able to simplify the process and to move slowly, steadily, and easily at the same time. The second question is, what's your audience? Are these people of the golden age? Or maybe these are those who have just finished their study in the college. These people might have some student loans just yet, and they are just learning to identify their financial stability. Or maybe these are the people with a mid or high income who have already reached something in their life, who are the high achievers, who want to achieve more, and who are going more and more as long as they work more and more. In this case, you definitely need to automatize their routines and to help them with that. And basically answering the question, who's your defined audience, is the key to identifying what exactly is your need of help to these people. Is there any chance you can help them at all? Maybe they don't need your help. That's possible as well, but still you gotta aim for the best, trying to simplify their work. The next question is, what do your specific clients do at work? So for some reason, they have came to use your service. They have decided that this service will simplify their life. And basically nowadays we are buying different subscriptions to fulfill different needs we have. We watch Netflix to fulfill the happiness need. We sign the documents with the DocuSign because we need to have a simplified process of making that instead of printing thousands of copies, validating them, moving between the meetings, etc. We might have used the CRM systems to track the audience's statuses. And the same question should be applied to your product. Why do your clients use it? What do they do at work except using your product? What is their main occupation? Are they the office workers or the high runners? Are they the ones who always work hardly, or are they the high flyers who are thinking a lot and their creativity drives the business? Identify your portrait of the client as the professional. Take a look at what do they do at work. Push to that button and identify how to simplify this process. Why do your clients do out of work, and what do they do out of work? That's the next question that you should ask yourself. Do not just think about the customer as somebody who's a professional at work, like 9 to 5, and that's all, because it is not. The person does not finish up after the work, and your client does not finish its life cycle after the work, leaving the office on Friday. Just because you're able to help with some routines in the daily life as well. I've been using the, again, coming back to the alternative document signing services, I've been using them a lot, not just at my work, but also at some of my personal relationship, at some things I'm trying to solve every day in my life, and to the things I'm going to achieve. And this is the thing that allows me to understand how to simplify the processes easily. This is the same approach here. Think about what your clients do out of work. Try to make and to become their friends. Make the friends with them. Just because it is not about what services you provide them at work, but it is about how do you simplify their overall life? How do you make it easier? How do you make it better? And as soon as you're going to identify that, the solution of integration will come itself. And that basically comes to the next question: how to make the life of your clients better. It is not about using your product. It is maybe just by cheering them at their birthday, maybe just by sending the Christmas card, maybe something else. Think about all the possible materials on making the lives of people around you better, and use your business as the best and the most powerful super tool to do this. Finally, identify the last thing, which is more the business related. What is the main request of your user? Not just the reason why the user has came to your product, but also what is the main purpose and goal in life of the user? What is the main request? Maybe they don't like the job they do, and that is possible as well. Maybe they hate the bureaucracy happening around them. Maybe they want to implement some paperwork, and that happens as well. Identify the main deficit or the main request of these people. And as soon as you do this, you're going to find out what to implement into your project and how to improve that at first. And we are at this point moving next to the pretty interesting thing is that you have to work even with the weirdest theories. Again, as soon as I've said that maybe your clients do not love the work, I believe you thought that I'm out of my mind. Well, maybe, but anyway, that is this weird theory. And maybe by providing some gamification into the fintech, for example, on the wealth advising, you can bring back their life to the work. And my reason of telling that is that you do not have to hesitate about testing these theories. Don't worry about it. In case the user will not love it, you will see that via the A/B tests, via the surveys, via the feedbacks, etc. But this will be totally fine. And after the moment that you will identify the weird theory and implement it into the life, and will be the game changer, your business will get skyrocketed just because you have identified the main pain of your customer. You have found out how to help them and what to do to make their life a little bit easier at least. So as soon as you do this, you're not alone and you're skyrocketing your business easily. So don't be afraid of different scary thoughts about your clients. Yes, some of them may sound weird, but still, you cannot know until you try, and you should try as soon as possible. Moving forward, the next really interesting thing that we should pay attention to is the types of API integrations or third-party services that you might need to have. And we have decided to prepare a set of different categories so you can choose from right at the beginning. Maybe you've not thought about integrating any third-party systems just yet. It is possible, but as soon as you got this chance, I want you to have a specific deliverable to choose from. So I have decided to start with the CRM systems. CRM system is the tool that allows your clients to track their clients. That allows them to automatize the process of work on how and who uses their products, how it is being done, what is the lead nurturing process, and how the leads are transformed into the opportunities, for example. What should be done in this case and how to improve that? All of these things should be taken into account and should be paid attention to in advance. As soon as you do that, you're going to be able to identify the requests, to simplify this request, and at least to make sure that you are doing everything correctly. And once you're going to do that, you'll be able to simplify their process of life. We have identified several different CRM systems. We have started with the HubSpot, the next one is the Salesforce, Retail, and the Wealthbox. These are some sort of the game players who are currently ruling the game of the CRM into wealth tech. And I'm going to briefly discuss each one of them so you can know what to choose and what to expect. So let's get started with the HubSpot. HubSpot is a pretty new system that has appeared in the world of the fintech relatively unlately. So, like just a couple of years ago, they have appeared as the famous startup. They have gathered several rounds of investments. But the fact how the guys improved their platform within several years is just enormous because they now have not just the CRM system, but also the CMS, the utilities of making life easier. A lot of different pretty cool things to work with, etc. And basically, this is the thing allowing you to make it work better as well. So integrating the HubSpot is a win-win solution because more and more people nowadays select this CRM. And I'm pretty sure that somebody out of your clients are going to be using that too. So once you'll see that, once you'll try to have this implemented, just try to experiment a little bit with that. Maybe try to implement it into your business as well. The guys have a extremely suitable API system to be integrated. They are updating that regularly, and recently API HubSpot 2.0 has been released, allowing you to do even more cool stuff. So I just would recommend you to take a look at it, but still you should remember that this is a relatively new system, which means that some bugs are possible, some things might be integrated a little bit clunky or in clumsy way, but still the guys is trying to do better. So I'm pretty sure you're gonna find some of your clients using HubSpot already. So provide this integration and make them happy. The next one is the Salesforce. Salesforce is one of the oldest on the ring, just because they have created their system like almost 20 years ago, and it has been used for like long years. And basically, there are lots of products. It is super easy to get lost in everything Salesforce does, and they did throughout the last several years. But the main thing you need to remember is that once you have implemented the Salesforce for your users, you will see the problem that all of the users use different Salesforce versions. Some of them have joined the system back in 2010s. Some of them have joined the system back in 2005. Some of them are newcomers and joined the system within the last several years. And the fact that experience of usage of this system is going to be absolutely different for all these users. And the fact how they're going to be using your integration is going to be absolutely different. So the first thing you need to do integrating the Salesforce is to identify who are exact audience of the Salesforce at your product and what is the version they are using mostly. What is the backward compatibility you're going to provide? Is there really everybody using the updated Salesforce Lightning experience, which has appeared a couple of years ago? Or are there the mastodons who use it a little bit in a different way, maybe still sticking around the old interfaces, UI, and UX? Just remember taking a look at that. Just remember paying attention to that. And just try to make sure that this is going to be exactly as you expect. As soon as you're going to have this done, you will be the king of the world because you will identify the need of your users. So don't forget that the Salesforce is a system full of different surprises and you might get lost in it. As soon as you have this figured out, you can identify what exact product you need to integrate and how to do that and how to deal with that correctly. Moving next is the retail. Retail is a pretty interesting newcomer who have lots of different things. The guys are not really thinking about the design, basically, but they do a pretty good integration logic for their system. Just a couple of months ago, retail has been acquired by the Orion Advisor Solutions. And I believe there's going to be lots of different cool changes. But the fact that at the moment, retail provides lots of interesting tickets, support system, API integration has been recently updated, and basically it allows you to control all the entities existing in retail. The thing that I would like to pay attention to is the fact that retail has an extremely comfortable system of rejecting the contacts. So basically they validate the correct and incorrect contacts on their side, and in case you see that something is wrong with their contacts, they just reject it on the right side. And you are making sure that only the best filtered contacts come into your system via their integration. That's a great part because you basically can avoid filtering lots of different things and you can simplify these things a lot. And that's the huge kudos to the retail for the fact that they have done that, because basically you are removing the responsibility of unqualified contacts appearing in your project, and you just possess retail as the ones who will solve this. And they deal with that pretty greatly. So in case you want to make sure that your contacts will get the great contacts filtration and your clients will be totally fine with that, I would recommend you using the retail and integrate them at first. Plus, the API is extremely simple. There are some interesting things you should pay attention to, but basically API is as simple as possible. And we're moving next to the Wealthbox. Wealthbox, in my opinion, is sort of prodigies in the nowadays world of the API and the CRM systems, because they are extremely new and they have managed to implement the system which works absolutely beautifully and remains as simple as possible. And Even though there are lots of different interesting functionality, at the moment the Wealthbox CRM is super simple, and you can manage it easily, update some fields, some internal data, etc. But they work pretty fine. And another thing you should pay attention to is the fact that the Wealthbox has just updated their API, and they are going to update it once more pretty soon. And there is a absolutely perfect support for the enterprise specialists. In case you are using the growth or tier 3 or tier 1 support subscription type, you will be totally fine with what you get from them. So I would highly recommend you to take a look at the system, to run a free trial, maybe to book a demo, because actually once you will decide to integrate this system into your platform, that will be the easiest solution you will ever do. And from my personal perspective, between all the CRM systems, integrating the Wealthbox API would be the easiest and the fastest one right at the moment. And all of these systems worth trying. So just to remind you once again, don't forget that it is possible to take a look at this system as the beginning. HubSpot, Salesforce, Retail, and the Wealthbox. They are the current massive players in the world of the wealth stack, and most of the people using specifically for that case, which is pretty fine. Let's move forward. The payment gateways. I believe everybody heard about the system which has happened to the Interact in Canada just a month ago. Interact was down, lots of the services did not accept any payments, etc. And there was a need to do something with that. And the easiest solution here is to have some alternative payment gateway providers, except the regular or the monopolistic one. So the payment gateways we would recommend to take a look at right from the beginning are the Stripe, Adgen, and the BlueSnap. So these three systems are the massive players of the payment gateway world, and all of them allow a pretty cool developed systems to work with and to integrate these. So starting with the Adyen, that's a pretty interesting thing that has appeared approximately recently. Even though the list of the services Adyen serves is the pretty good one, and they do lots in the e-commerce sphere, in the retailing, in the speed up development and payments, etc. So I would highly recommend you to take a look at the Adyen and your payment gateway, just because they are super loyal to the new customers and the pricing is pretty fine. And this is the easiest solution to be implemented right now for the making payments. So you should definitely just take a look at it. The next massive player is Stripe. I believe everybody heard about Stripe, but if you're not, that's just a system that basically was able to identify the vector of moving for the infrastructure of the payments all over the internet in the last 5 years. Stripe was the first one to collaborate with the Shopify. They have been one of the first to integrate their payment providing systems into most of the e-commerce and retail shops all over the world. And they have seen this process as simple as possible, which is absolute pleasure to work with that. So in case you want to not just be able to gather payments or provide your users with the ability of gathering payments, but also to make it in a totally secured way and do it fastly, feel free to use Stripe. There are some account limitations and completed moderation, but anyway, in case you will have them implemented, you might figure these things out and solve it pretty easily and fastly. So in case it works for you, don't forget to check this out. The next system is the BlueSnap. BlueSnap are the mastodons of the payment gateway systems, and they have been on the market, seems like always. But anyway, even though their system was one of the most oldest ones, they are updating that regularly, and this one is the most trustful all over the world. Just because there were no strange things happening with the BlueSnap system just yet, and there was no scam, there was no something strange happening. So I would recommend at least to take a look at it, so you have a chance to work out it correctly, etc. The website is a little bit clumsy in my opinion, because it just allows you to speak with the payment expert and to identify the goals you want to reach with implementing the system. But at the same time, the support tickets and the support level the guys provided to different tiers is super good. But I would recommend you, before integrating any payment gateway, first of all, to take a look at the regionality of your customers. Because, for example, in some countries like Ukraine and Russia for some time as well, for obvious reasons, Stripe, for example, was not working. Happily, Stripe has started working in Ukraine, for example, nowadays, in India, etc. But again, double check that your clients will have a chance to use the integration you've done, because some of these providers might not be accepted in the country you provide your services to. So just don't forget about it and make sure you are making this correct. Moving forward, the analysis tools. Let's say you have implemented your first utilities and you're pretty sure you've done pretty greatly with it. Well, congratulations, you probably did, and you have to expect a new customers coming to your system just because they have provided you these cool opportunities and you have provided them with different things to look at. So what should you do next is to analyze all the things you do within your product. And integrating some analysis tools is often easier than creating the dashboards out of zero. We have identified a set of different analysis tools that you should take a look at. The first one is the mode. So basically, this is an enhanced dashboard builder, allowing you to gather absolutely different dashboard data and to visualize it into a beautiful dashboards and some pie charts, line charts, etc. So this is the thing you should play around with. They are providing a pretty great 14-day free trial. And the builder of the dashboards is pretty cool, which would allow you to simplify the designing process as well. The next one is the DinaTrace. DinaTrace is a Swiss knife or a toolbox of absolutely different APIs, and you gotta be able, first of all, to see lots of different dashboards. You are able to use different credentials to work with it, etc. But the idea is that their API of the dashboards is pretty fine and allows you to work with absolutely different component types to track them out. Finally, Microsoft Power BI. This is the thing that has been on the market again almost forever. I still remember me using this back in the university days, and I believe most of you had the same experience. Anyway, Power BI evolutionized, they create new additional things, and the REST APIs are absolutely awesome. So if you want to have something stable, something long term existent and working just again as a Swiss knife, that's the Power BI by Microsoft, just because they do that in a super elegant way, and their REST API have been updated in a pretty beautiful way just recently. So take a look at it, but don't forget that in case you want to implement some dashboards, it is better to have the team of the people doing some at least comparative analysis to what happens around. Moving forward is the goals you need to follow before implementing any system. You have taken a look at the different categories of the things you should take a look at before thinking of implementing something, and you can choose something from these categories to work with. But the next thing is to start this process, which might be as complicated as identifying what exactly you want to implement. So let's say you have chosen 3 or 5 different API integration services and third-party tools you want to have in your product. The first thing you need to do is to ask yourself again, are you ready to do this? Do you really want to have these API integrations done? Because of course, I can tell you that this is what you exactly need to do, and I can redirect you to our team, etc. But that's not how it works. You need to think about whether you need this or not before starting. You need to think about whether you have an amount of users needed. And finally, you need to identify whether that's exactly you are aiming to or not. The next step is to be slow and steady. Even though that's a phrase that might not seem as something applicable in this case, that's exactly what it is right now. Because integration has to require some awareness. You have to do the correct business analysis. You have to gather all the requirements as soon as possible. And finally, you have answered yourself a question several times. Is it really something your users need or not? Because in case you fail in this case, well, you will lose some money, you will lose some time. But in case you win, you will bring an inevitable amount of usefulness to your clients. And this is exactly what you need to do. The next one is the fact that you have to be prepared for a marathon. It is not just enough to implement an API, which usually takes 2 or 3 months for one system. It is mostly about making things last, because after you have it implemented, you need to support it. The API version is coming to you, some updates are being done, etc. And you need somebody who's going to be updating that. The second aspect is you need somebody who's going to be asking the questions of your clients on how to onboard into this utility, etc. But you need to assume this as an opportunity for development, because as long as you do that, you have the chance to improve yourself and to improve your product. So be prepared for the marathon. That's not a sprint, that's a long run, but in the end, everybody wins. The next one is you need to identify your players. Identify the ones who you're going to serve these integrations to, who are going to use them, who are the players of your product. And the second one, identify the people who are going to be working with your system and who are going to be implementing it for you. Because this is the stake that would allow you to win in the long-term race or to lose in the short term. Work with the best ones and make sure that you are ready to have the system implemented just as expected. Next is be ready to face the resistance. Unfortunately, users are resistant to different changes, especially in case they look inevitable or pretty complex. In this case, resistance is all about having the new functionality implemented. You are implementing the new dashboard, it changes the front end. You're implementing the new functionality, it makes user asking why do they need this. And this is all about following the same approach. So you have to face the resistance. You have to make sure that works correctly. And just prepare the specific and specified marketing campaigns to ensure users want to have this done just as expected. Moving forward is get ready to do support. APIs get updated, some functionality gets deprecated, some functionality gets implemented, and you need to keep up with your API integration, just because it is not just enough to make the service work at once. Of course, it will hold your stakes for at least 5 years, but you still need to do some support. So before you're going to get started, make sure you have some support specialists and make sure you are ready to make them work as expected. So as soon as you have this running, get ready to do support. Finally, find those who will help. And this is the main part of this webinar at all. You need to identify who's going to be implementing these things for you. And in this case, I have a gift I've been offering at the beginning of the webinar. In Insart, we've been working with implementing different third-party services for an extremely long period of time. We've been working with the most part of the leaders of the industry, like the Wealthbox, with the retail, Salesforce, HubSpot, Stripe, different ERP systems. And we are able, and we have already pushed this path for you. So in case you already want to do this, find those who will help, and we help to become the ones who will help you in this case. And I have a specific gift for you. So usually we do provide some paid business analysis consultations on how to implement the API into your project. But in this point, we are totally ready to bring the action to some new cool products who want to skyrocket their business by implementing third-party tools. And scanning this QR code, you're going to be able to open up the Contact Us form of our website. Just in the personal message, add that you have visited the third-party webinar, and we're going to be able to provide you an absolutely free consultation on which services you should implement into your project and how to do this correctly. And basically, this is the gift I've been promising to you. We are ready to help you because we know that as soon as somebody has joined this webinar about integrating and making the things look perfect, that's exactly what's going to happen. This is the reason we are here. We want to be the ones who will help you integrate it. So to make this process smoother for you, we are ready to consult absolutely for free and to hint you how to figure out the tasks of your business with the third-party integrations. So scan the QR code, get started, and I really hope to see you at the personal call where we're going to be able to discuss your specific project detailedly. We want to aim at scaling up and raising our growth and making these things look perfect. Summing the things up, we have discussed lots of pretty complex themes today. I know that running the third-party tool is something which seems a little bit complicated, but it's really not. You are able to make that, and you are able to make that in a way that will provide some profit to your clients and will make you happy as well as the business owner. So as soon as you're gonna start implementing different third-party tools, your boat will turn into the real ship that's gonna move your business forward with the speed of the wind. And I really hope that this path is gonna bring you to the world of the high incomes, of the better clients, and of your business being developed in the correct approach at least. I'm really grateful for the fact that you have joined today. I hope that you have watched till the end. And in case you will again come back here and at least just leave your email, I'm going to be able to provide you the video recording of this webinar and some other cool things we regularly do here. In Insart, we regularly provide different cool webinars about absolutely different systems. So make sure to visit these webinars and make sure to do your best to find out more about skyrocketing your business. I'm really grateful you joined me today. My name is Bogdan Glushko, and this was the first experimental webinar, and definitely not the last one. So I hope to see you soon, and don't forget that we're ready to consult you with making the things better. Thanks a lot for joining, and I'll see you next time. Bye.